Today we are going to create a multi-dimension look utilizing 3 different colors, or 3 different shades. We're using 16, 02, and 60. I will be using 60 and 16 sandwiched together to create more dimension, and I will be utilizing the 02. However, I don't want to use the entire width of this swatch, so I'm actually going to take a shear and/or scissor and cut it in half. So the first thing I want to do is I've already identified her natural part, and I'm going to utilize that just so that the hair falls more natural and I can see exactly where I'm placing it, where the hair lives and how she wears it. From that point, I'm going to continue to create my typical 4-section part. When sectioning the hair, you want to stay as clean as possible, and what I mean by that is you want to keep all your sections and your subsections as straight as possible so that you line your tapes up and you don't have any errant stray hairs running into the tapes you don't intend them to. And again, I'm using a typical 4-section part. The only difference is I'm utilizing her natural parting that she uses on top. When working with my subsections, I generally like to start at the lower occipital where the head starts to turn. Again, nice clean lines. I want to create my base. I want it to be nice and thick. We don't want to see any holes because that's going to create the perimeter around your hair. If you leave holes, it's going to look a little too choppy. And this is the subsection that I've chosen for her. I'm just peeling the backing off the tape, doing my best to keep my hand from touching the tacky side of the tape. For this model, because she has brightness around the front of her face, I want to continue around the back side. So I'm going to start off with blonde on either side. And throughout the middle, I'm going to split it up with some of this dark to give her a little more dimension. Again, doing my best to keep my hands from touching the tacky side. And you'll notice there's a slight tonal difference between the two. And we're going to utilize that when we sandwich it into her hair to help create more dimension, give a little more blend. So you're going to pick out the hair. An easy way to determine is either about 1/8 of an inch, or if you can at least read a newspaper behind that hair. I'm now applying the underside, taking care not to go too close to the scalp because it'll over-direct the hair and create unneeded volume. I'm now sandwiching the top layer over the top of her hair. I'm pressing firmly, making sure that both sides are aligned. Earlier I spoke of splitting. The easiest way to do that. You can fold a piece in half so that you know both sides are going to be equal. Just give it a little crease. It gives you a guideline to cut over. I have my guideline. I'm taking care not to snip into the hair. I just want to cut the tape. So we have essentially half-size tapes. Again, peeling back the tape, taking care not to touch it with my hand so that the oils do not reduce its tackiness. Take my next slice. Again, not too thick, not too thin. I could read a newspaper behind it. The underside in place, and her natural hair over it. Place the top side on top, making sure, again, it's aligned and that we're not too close to the scalp so that it's not going to over-direct or elevate the hair. So at this point, you can use your own creative genius to decide how you want to lay in these patterns. I'm going to go ahead and do another stripe of blonde. Again, applying the bottom half. Placing the top half. Pressing firmly so that it secures. And now you're starting to get an idea of how the pattern is starting to look. And again, my next piece. Creating a guide for me to cut so everything's even. It's actually an important step because you don't want to have one side bigger than the other. You want it to line up perfectly. Careful not to go into the hair. The ability to cut these tapes are also going to come in handy should you don't have the exact measurement. You can actually shorten these tapes just so that it'll fit perfectly on the head. You don't have any sticking out where you don't want it to. The hair secured. Moving on to our next piece. The finished look, we chose to use some brunettes as well as some blondes to break up that color. You could come in and even use pinks, reds, blues, whatever you choose, and not have to worry about it being permanent, because you can always take these out just as easy as you put them in. What's great about Glamorous Strands is you can be as creative as you want to be. Just have fun with it.